Welcome to Linguistic Lifts. This is our third episode. Woo! And we're gonna get a little spicy with you guys today because we're gonna be talking about self-pleasure, also known as
Masturbation.
Y'all didn't seem too excited about that. But yeah, I am your host, Indian Girl, and we have
Santina, also known as Play With It.
And we also have, coming from the West Coast,
I did it wrong last time. I did like this. Straight out of Latonia. It's supposed to be like this. My bad. Red Star.
Red Star, yes. We have our guest co-host today. To my left, we have
Divine.
And to her left, we have
Asia.
So we want to get a mixture of different age groups for this conversation because I think it's going to be pretty interesting. So we all know that self-pleasure may or may not be important to you based on your religious beliefs or your thought process about it. So basically, we just want to get in a conversation about it. No matter your views on it, it's a conversation that needs to be had, and it's okay to have the conversation. There's nothing wrong with talking about self-pleasure or masturbating. It's actually in the dictionary, the real dictionary. So first, I want to start with Red Star. What are your thoughts on self-pleasure?
I think it's normal. And for the people that try to act like it's not, they are not being honest with themselves. Yeah, I just think it's normal. I don't even think of it in like a religious aspect or anything like that. The body is designed to release in that way, and in order to know your body, know yourself, that's a part of it. Just like you learn how to find your hobbies, you find out how to pleasure yourself. You can't tell anybody else how to do it if you don't know how to do it yourself. So I'm cool with it.
Okay. All right. What about you, Santina?
I also feel like if you can't please yourself, you can't inform someone else on how to please you. I feel like self-pleasure is a part of life. It's a part of release, as Jaquita said. It's something that I feel like everyone should have a part in. It's self-pleasure. I feel like if you're not with someone else and you want to be released, you can do it yourself, and you can do it very well. And it's a form of pleasure, and it gives yourself very much happiness.
Hey, look at me. Asia, what about you?
Oh man, you guys know self-pleasure, masturbation. What's really funny about it is a lot of people, we don't really talk about it, like really growing up, like as kids. They talk about sex, but we don't really talk about self-pleasure. So it's a really weird taboo topic for a lot of, especially like younger teenagers up into your younger 20s, just to even talk about it. And the funny part about masturbation is most men, they can talk about it easy. They talk about choking their chicken, beating their meat, jacking off, whatever. But when it comes to women, we don't really talk about that. Why is that? What I really, really, really want to know. So here's what I feel. I feel like if you want to go ahead and touch yourself privately, baby, go ahead and do it.
What about you, Divine?
So I was always told when I was growing up that masturbating was a sin. So yeah. So
You said it was a sin?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to the Bible, it's a sin. You're not supposed to do it, whatever. So I was never really interested in that. But as I got older, I came to realize that you can't depend on somebody else to learn your body for you. And like being 24 up until now, like I still don't know my own body and what I like. Just depending on other people to kind of figure it out for me. So I feel like masturbation is kind of necessary because you have to learn yourself before you invite someone else to explore that with you, because it's kind of unfair to that other person to sit and try all those times to please you, and all they know is who they've been with before and what they liked, and you can't tell them because you don't know.
Interesting. Well, as you can see, I have to have 2 drinks for this conversation. But as Divine stated, I was always taught that or told that it was a sin to masturbate. So I did stay way clear from it. And I tried to find the scripture on it, and I do have a scripture. Sorry, we do talk about the Bible in here, so get over yourself. 1 Corinthians 6:18 says, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexual immoral person sins against his own body. That's the closest I could get to it, where it's left up for interpretation. So it can mean that you're allowing somebody to enter your body, and that could be sexually immoral, or you're actually doing something to your body, and it could be immoral. So it's up in the air on that. But for me, it's always been considered a sin. So it's something that I stayed away from. Also, like I said, like Asia said, men can talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But when a woman talks about things that has to do with anything with sexuality, it puts us in a bad light. So those two instances, I didn't want to be viewed as overly sexualized, and I didn't want to be viewed as a sinner. So it's something that I always stayed away from. And even now, I stay away from it. So that's what, not to say it's right or wrong or whatever. It's just because I've gone so long without experiencing that, that it's just never been a part of my my sexuality, so to speak. So, do you have something to say?
Yes, I do. In my opinion, I feel like sex pleasure for this younger age would be good. I feel like it wouldn't be so much spread of so many diseases and things of that sort if our younger group knew how to self-please themselves. When you are self-pleasing yourself, you're not involving other people, so it's just you and yourself, so it's safe. There's no STDs attached to self-pleasure, so it's safe. It's teaching you how to please yourself so you can teach someone else how to please yourself, in my opinion. It's also a form of sexuality, because when you're with someone else, you can
Navigate.
Yeah, thank you. Navigate your body in a way that you know that you like, so that person can also learn to navigate your body in a manner that you also like. I think it's also good escape for when you're single and when you're dating, because in my opinion, when you're dating, sometimes if you tie sex into the dating thing, it's kind of confusing, especially if the sex is good. Mm-hmm. You can confuse yourself in thinking like this relationship is good and everything is good with this relationship when it's just the sex that is good.
Well, just like we talked about last week, in dating, that doesn't mean you have to have sex with every person that you're dating. So if you are masturbating, you can kind of keep yourself from sleeping with every person that you're dating.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You can, if you feeling hot and bothered by that person when you get home, you can go release and you're good. I just feel like masturbation is a good form for you to release and get to know yourself and please yourself in ways that you want someone else to do it.
I agree with you. Oh, that's it. Red Star.
Okay, so y'all.
Are you over there taking notes? You got a whole pen over there. You taking notes?
Well, I was trying to write it down because y'all talking, so I want to go back to it. Santina, really quick, I read an article once that talked about, I guess, the younger generation, millennials.
We're millennials, I think.
We're not millennials. They're millennials.
They're millennials. I think we're like Gen Z or something like that.
2000, millennials came and...
Anyway, I read an article and that was specifically talking about millennials, and I'll go search for it and send it, so it'll be and have it as a reference. But it talked about how their numbers are much lower. So like for us, when we were all coming up, teen pregnancy rates were really high, STDs, HIV, all that kind of stuff was elevated. But for the younger generation, it's actually lower, like teen pregnancies, even into like the 20s and stuff. You know, my son just had his first child at 27. You see, so like the numbers and things are changing. And I think it's doing so because of the shift in just the conversations about sexuality. You know what I mean? Like, I have a friend, she says like, oh, everything is gay, everywhere. That's all you see. I'm like, because ain't nobody in the closet no more. Ain't nobody finna hide from you. First of all, sex sells, and it's been around everywhere. And they use naked women to sell fucking cheeseburgers. But when somebody want to talk about their stuff, you don't want to hear that.
Amen.
Anyway, so there are articles on that. So I feel like the time is changing where, for example, they're asking you how you identify. You know, they're asking you if you have non-binary and like all these other things that make it more open and give the platform for people to discuss, you know, their sexuality and what they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. So I think the younger generation is actually better off than we were, because my mama didn't talk to me about nothing. It'd just be like, don't sleep with him.
Don't do it.
Or don't do it.
Don't do it.
Why not? I was
Why
only one that
not? If you don't tell me why, I'm gonna go do it. What you talking about?
That's the conversation that I had with my mom too. It was like, don't do it. That was it. Like, it was no conversation behind it. It was just like, don't have sex. No,
Yeah.
Why not? Is it the best thing that I never had?
Yeah.
Like, why should I have
She
sex?
told me you ain't gonna know what you're doing. And if you decide to have it, I need to come in and watch and make sure you're doing it right. I was like, yeah, no. Well,
real quick, I just wanted to say too, I think, I'm not sure if Divine mentioned it or if you mentioned it, Indian girl, but I think y'all was responding to Santina and you was like, you know, we can use masturbation, of course, to not sleep with everybody that you're dating, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a specific thing that's only for us women. Because if this was a men's podcast, nobody would be saying that they're masturbating to avoid sleeping with all of the people that they're dating.
Don't
right?
men
That's only a
masturbate?
thing. So what's the problem with us sleeping with everybody that we're dating?
Let's say
If
this.
you're doing it responsibly.
I'll say this. I was in a long distance relationship until recently, last week, matter of fact. So I'll say this. Masturbating for us was good because I felt like it was a release for both of us, because we did phone sex, we did chatting, we did duo video, just because it was just easier for us and it felt more natural for us than just sometimes on the phone, because I was able to see him and he was able to see me. But on that other hand, is that enough to keep someone in a long distance relationship? Is masturbating
are y'all visiting every other week though?
once, twice a month?
Yeah.
That's what our goals were. But my thing is with even with that, is me masturbating with you over the phone enough to keep you from not wanting to sleep with someone
That's
else?
an individual choice to make to have infidelity, to cheat on somebody else. It's an individual choice. Whether you choose to masturbate or not, that's your decision to step out on your relationship. And you can't put that on yourself as a responsibility. It's on that person if they do step out. I wanted to get to Divine real quick because she has something to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I agree with you when you were saying about it's good for like younger people, in the aspect that I feel like kind of what you were saying too. If you're younger and you're learning about pleasuring yourself, you're spending more of your time, you know, with yourself, finding out what you like, instead of trying to, I guess, sleep with multiple people to find out what you like from other people. So you're just constantly having sex with people who are not satisfying you. It's like back to back, like it's miserable. So when you find out on your own, it's like at least you know that you can do that at the end of the day. So if you go out and you happen to actually like someone, you're getting to know them and they can't initially, you know, you can teach them as you go. That's a different subject though. I kind of don't want to have to teach you, but
I don't mind though.
but
if you have
know,
all
if
those
it's-
characteristics that I like in a person.
Yeah, okay. So so yeah, you can tell them like, you know, off the rip, and you know, you can build with that one person instead of like, oh, you weren't it. Let me find somebody else that can figure it out, you know, for me.
Well, I would like to say, I just want to preface this because I know I said I don't masturbate. I am all for, I just believe in, I'm just really selfish. So I feel like it should be up to me to please myself. It's up to my partner. So it is something I do with my partner. Like I will touch myself in front of the other person and pleasure myself and show them with them present. So to me, that's my way of getting around the sin aspect of it, because they're present. We're probably still sinning if we ain't married. But anyway.
That's about to say that.
But it's just another thing for me, because I was like, I want you present. I want you to be a part of this experience. And I just don't really have a lot of bad experiences because I connect with that person on that level. And I know you don't want to teach somebody, but it's always that awkwardness in the beginning. So you have to learn each other's bodies, and you have to learn it in a way that's comfortable for the both of you. So if you already have that mental chemistry, you're already on the dance floor and y'all moving and swaying on the dance floor. It's like, I'm already like, yeah.
But what
it's
about
gonna be
what about
easy.
when you don't meet? Because this is a new age where y'all and
Oh, you mean
COVID,
online and stuff,
yeah, you
yeah.
don't meet these people on the dance floor.
Oh,
I
but
could meet
yeah.
somebody in the grocery store.
But that's what I'm saying. When you have, to me, it's
Watch
like
you sway down
it's
the
a
aisle.
mental connection first anyway. You got a mental connection going on, and y'all talking in the same language, and then you don't have to
But
be
a
talking
mental
about sex.
connection could be turned off with a simple word.
Yeah.
Like a mental conversation can be like, he can say the wrong thing and you could be totally turned off. So
Oh, yeah, and men
it's
do that a lot.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have more of a physical attraction and a sexual attraction, in my opinion, that's more of an attraction than like
Oh no, I gotta see you physically first, because you know me, we go back to I'm shallow, you already know that. So I gotta be physically attracted to you first, and then the mental comes, and then it's like, oh, we can move on to the next step because you've met two of my requirements. And then, you know, again, I don't know if it's called self-pleasure because in front of somebody else, but yes, I do it in front of a partner, and I just feel like I'm more comfortable that way.
so
But
you're not comfortable touching yourself by yourself.
I don't feel like I have to, because another thing about me is I release naturally. I don't have to touch myself.
How do you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just blessed.
Do you just walk around like,
No, I mean, I
needed
literally,
that.
it's like, exactly, that's what happened. My
You
body
like
just
it.
knows, like, you know, I
You
stay
like it.
constantly busy, and it's like, I'll forget about the sexual part of my life, and it's like, I'll go to sleep, and I'll be like, ooh, what was
so
that?
the when
What
you're
was that?
asleep,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's called sleepgasm. I don't have to be dreaming about sex to have them, so I'm not dreaming about sex.
Wet
It's sleepgasms.
all right, have y'all
Sleepgasms.
have y'all ever like been like trying to focus on some work and then all of a sudden your body like, Daddy. You know what I'm saying? And they'd be like, no, bitch, you need to study. You need to study. No, but it'd be like, no.
Are you talking about like randomly?
Yeah,
getting
just
horny?
randomly, like, and you'll be, you know, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
because we
trying to
talked about
focus. Stop. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I do feel like, you know, if
But
you're
we talked
knowledgeable-
about last week. Women think about sex just as much as men do.
Yeah.
We just kind of have more self-control, and we'll
We have
keep.
boners. So
Yeah, that's what a guy told me
Yeah.
earlier this week. He was like, "Yeah, it's a little different because you know it's not physically apparent." But I mean, yeah, we actually do, because the clitoris does swell up just
It
like
does.
the penis. Just in
Out of
case you
nowhere.
guys didn't know
Out of
that.
nowhere. Why?
Yeah, it's
Out of
so
So
nowhere.
if you see something swell up, it's a good thing. It's
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But you know, but we have a little bit more self-control, and we can wait, and we can finish what we're doing. But you know, another thing I think I wanted to bring up about masturbating is desensitizing. When you overly pleasure yourself, you become desensitized to the human touch of someone else, or the human feeling, or the feeling of somebody else that you're intimate with. Do y'all agree or disagree with that?
I definitely agree. I Definitely, you got to learn how to like regulate yourself. Like, hey man, I've been doing it too much. I need to take a week off because a week off. Dang. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to just, control
I'm gonna disagree
yourself.
because I feel like someone else's touch is totally different than me having a rabbit or playing with myself.
Yeah.
A person's the blood, the heat of someone's body, their kiss, their body against mine is totally different. So I'm gonna disagree with that one.
Maybe it's a man thing. The man get desensitized.
I would say I'm pretty new to this, so I don't have that overly problem. But I would say me personally, I'm a very like my love language is affection, so I'm always like craving a body. Like I know when I was 19, my friends bought me like this vibrator as a joke for my birthday, and I never used it because it was like hard and cold, and I was like, I don't like this.
Right.
But then now I found out I'm not even that's not what stimulates me. So when I finally found out what actually stimulates me, it's like, okay, this is pleasurable, but I still like heat, warmth, like affection.
Yeah.
I can't be.
What about you, Red Star?
I agree with Santina. I feel like in two different ways though. If you do it yourself, then I don't feel like you can do it too much. But when you begin to use artificial
Like vibrators and things like that.
stimulators, yes, because your partner can't go as fast as a rabbit, and so when you desensitize yourself to the point to where you got to have it on high, and that's the only way that you can get off, then it will impact, I feel like, your sex life and actually being with a person.
Yeah, I had a female tell me she burned through 3 of them jokers in a year, and I'm like, what?
Well,
What?
if you buy a cheap one, they will go through a battery life and that
She was overseas by herself, so she had a lot of only time, and she burned through it. But, so there was a study that showed that 80%, and I'm not in this 80%, I'm the lucky 20%. It said 80% of women could not climax from their partner alone. They had to do self-stimulation after the act to achieve orgasm. And I was like, no.
Well, the thing is, maybe because they have been overstimulating themselves. Like I
can say like
I don't.
I think it's a combination. I don't think it's necessarily overstimulating themselves.
Maybe their partner is just not pleasing them.
Personally, I was like 30 years old before you really find out kind of what you like, and then it sounds silly, but to have the bravery in the middle of a situation to say, what you like and all of that, verbalize it. But I think that a lot of women don't climax vaginally, right? So in that 80% could be women who are only having vaginal intercourse with like nothing else kind of going on.
exactly.
And then women just don't speak up. I think that number is actually true.
It is. Well, the other thing is that I've grown to realize that in your 20s, I was telling a guy this, I was like, it's different. In your 20s, you're told it's supposed to be fast and hard, and this is what sex is supposed to be. And they get in there and they're like, oh, it's great. Oh, great. Da-da-da-da. Never had an orgasm. Thought they had an orgasm. Like, is that what it feels like? Blah, blah, blah. And then they get to that age where they're like, somebody that actually cares about them and trying to figure them out, and they get them to that point and they have that first orgasm. They're like, is this what I was missing the whole time? Because like you said, we don't speak up. We just go with the flow. This man said, this is good. You know this is good, right? You gotta I was married young. So it was like, I'm married at 24 years old, and this is my husband, and my job is to please him, whether I'm being pleased or not. In my head, this is supposed to be pleasing to me. I'm not saying it's not or is, but I'm just saying, this is pleasing to me. This is what it's supposed to be like, because he's telling me, the man is leading me, and he's telling me, he's older than me, he should know. And you trust that instead of trusting your body and knowing. So maybe you're supposed to masturbate, so you know your body. But anyway, so, but you know, I trusted someone else to tell me. So when it was achieved, it was like, ding, 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 I want to keep this feeling, so I'm going to speak up, or I'm going to maneuver myself. We're going to have a sexual conversation. It's not going to be instructions given, and I'm not going to throw off the mood, but you find a way to teach your partner as you go, and you learn, like, this is what climax is, this is what I'm supposed to feel, this is what makes sex great, instead of me just doing a duty. So yeah, I think, you know, the older you get, the more you learn your body, and the more you're able to speak up. Some women, they speak up early on. So right at 20 years old, they speak up. No, I don't like it. Get up. Goodbye. Had a cousin like that. So, but yeah, we have to learn to speak up for self-pleasure.
I feel, I also think we have to speak up for self-pleasure, but and my, like, people think if you come, you get off. For me, I can come 5 or 6 times while I'm having sex, but that doesn't get me off. Have to have an orgasm in order to get me off.
I didn't even know those were two different things.
It's way totally 2 different things. And people don't, a lot of people have never had an orgasm. If you can't give me an orgasm during sex, then we can't have sex again, in my opinion.
Like you were saying, there's a difference between coming and having an orgasm.
A big difference in between coming and having an orgasm. You can come and not even know it. If you have an orgasm, you will know it, you will feel it.
All over your body.
Yeah, all in your body. It's a release. It's an exhausting feeling. It feels good. It's totally different than you coming. I can see somebody and I'm attracted to them and I come.
Get wet.
Very wet. So it's a total different feeling. And a lot of people haven't had that feeling. They think them coming is the same as an orgasm. It's totally different. And in my opinion, if I'm with someone, you have to give me an orgasm. And I like multiple orgasms.
Yeah, I say it's a 2 to 3 minimum.
Yeah, orgasms.
2 to 3 minimum.
Might come about 7 or 8 times, but I want to have at least 2 or 3 orgasms with the person
in one
that
session.
I'm with. Yeah, in one session. It's a must.
I hope you're doing that in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's possible. Yes, it's possible. As long as the stroke is right.
I don't even know why men think they gotta be in there for 10, 20 minutes.
You don't have to be there that long.
Like, I'm good. You done yet? I'm good.
I'm gonna make sure you good. You gonna make sure I'm good, and we're gonna go to sleep. How about that?
Wait, I guess that's another conversation.
Yeah.
That is not masturbation, but
Yeah, I just feel a lot of people, when it comes to sex, they're sexually prohibited because they haven't experienced what sex really is. They don't know. And one reason is because they don't know what they want. They don't know their body. They don't know what their body craves. They don't know what their body desires. And part of pleasing yourself and knowing how to please yourself is knowing what your body wants and what your body craves and what your body desires. And those are 3 different things, but your body craves and desires and wants all of those. And if that person that you're not with is not giving you that, you have to do it for yourself if that's the relationship you choose to be in.
Yeah. Well, you know, I would like to bring up this one scene. I'm sorry if y'all didn't watch Bridgerton, but I'm kind of torn. Spoiler alert! I'm kind of torn on this because it was the Duke telling Daphne how to pleasure herself. So it's like I felt like here go a man trying to tell a woman what to do with her body. But, I mean, she wasn't really a woman because, let's be honest, she was like 15, 16, I guess. I
guess they were 17.
Yeah, I think it's like 15,
so
16.
He was getting her ready for the 21.
Yeah, so she was like, he basically like, you never done it. Basically told her what to do. And I was like, that's good that she learned about herself because she was having these feelings and she didn't know what to do with them. and he basically told her what to do with them. But it's like, here we go with the man telling the
That's
woman
not how that
what
happened.
to do.
He said because her mom didn't tell her anything about herself, about sex, about anything, and she only told her about how to be a wife.
Yeah, take care of the home.
But nothing about that. Like, and then she tried to have the conversation with her the day of the wedding.
But this happened before they even got engaged or married.
Oh yeah. So she didn't know anything. So she was just talking to him like as their friends and their roots or whatever.
Roots,
like he was like, you know, she was like, you know, what happens? Like, what do you mean? What do you do? And he was like, your mom didn't tell you? She's like, no, she didn't tell me nothing. And she's just like, well, you know, at night. She's like, when I'm asleep. He's like, you're not sleeping, you know, when you touch yourself. She's like, what are you talking about? Touch what?
Moms, let's stop this, moms.
Yeah. Moms
I
need
feel
this. Moms
like
need
it's
this.
very important for us as women and as moms to let these young women know about sex.
How young though?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I'm kind of like 17, 18.
I feel like those conversations should be had
For
when
masturbating?
I mean, just conversations about
No.
sex, period.
I don't think
Let me ask you, what age you think the conversation should be
because
had?
okay, so honestly, when I was in middle school,
Yeah, exactly.
there were
The kids.
when I went. Well, I can split it up either DeKalb County and Gwinnett County. When I was in DeKalb County, there were 3 pregnant girls in the 7th grade, and I was in the 6th grade. So that tells you that. When I moved to Gwinnett, I was in 8th grade, and 6th graders were already having sex. So that conversation needs to be at the same
elementary.
time. The same time that you're having this conversation. You're pulling the girls and the
Exactly.
boys away to talk to them about their bodies changing and having periods. There's a hormones that come with that. So there needs to be a conversation like this. This is what you're.
What time did you get to talk? What age did you get to talk? I don't recall.
What
Did you
talk?
have a talk?
The sex talk?
Yeah.
I don't remember. You had a few of them back to back. I know one was about nudes. You said don't have sex, don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And see, and that's the
Maybe not
problem.
staying with you, but I don't remember.
That is the problem. It's always don't. It's never explained.
You don't want your kids to have sex in middle school or high school, so you're gonna say don't have sex.
But you
I'm not
need
telling
to
you.
explain
I'm not
it.
telling you don't have sex because it's not good. I'm just saying don't ruin your life.
So
But
what I have
why
learned.
not explain to them why not to have it? Why not explain to them?
I did explain.
what
I
sex
didn't do
is
her
about?
like my mom did me. She just said don't do it and walked away, and that was it. There was no conversation.
So
if
what
you
did
do
you
have
say? You
it,
said don't do it,
If you
but
do
what?
have it, you need to use protection. That was a conversation. Use your protection. We don't want you to have pregnant before. Don't get pregnant. We want you to go as long as possible. Save yourself for marriage. But if that don't happen, you know you got to use protection. You got to at least protect yourself. It's not just about getting pregnant. I know I said
Yeah,
that.
for real.
It's about all these other things. Everybody worried about pregnancy when it's HIV and herpes simplex and all these other stuff you can't get rid of. So it's like it was more about those conversations, and another thing is more about your feelings, because you're gonna tie your feelings to your pussy.
But see, that's a
You won't end up
conversation
in the
that
wrong
needs to be
person.
had. And also, I just lost my train of thought. I was about to say something.
About your pussy.
Your heart is tied to your pussy.
No, okay. So what I learned, honestly, I've been learning some things professionally, and it's just the way like parenting, different parenting styles. Like you're supposed to, when you're telling a child or anybody like that, you know, you're supposed to. You don't use negating words. Like don't say don't have sex, blah blah blah. You say like, you know, this is sex,
If you decide
and
to
this
do
is
it.
why you should. You give a because, you give a reason so
Exactly.
that it makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, like you guys were saying, like, well, why shouldn't I do it?
Then it makes
Because
you
you're not
wanna do
telling
it
me
more.
why. Yeah, it's like, well, now I'm curious because why would you want me to
Exactly.
do it?
Because it's
Exactly.
too
And then-
good, and you're gonna
and
get
just-
caught up in it.
And you're
And then,
so true.
or explain, you know, you're gonna have these feelings. This is called lust. This will not be love. Don't fall into the trap. I remember you telling me, oh, guys will try to trick you into having sex with you by saying they love you. You'll do it if you love them. I remember you saying that. But you know, that's a conversation, an in-depth conversation. It's a talk and an understanding.
It's a
not
weekend.
just a don't do this,
It's
don't
a
do
weekend
that.
trip. It's like almost like a weekend. to where
Well, it's in
especially if you have
stages.
a-
Like you
and
can't
you
go
share-
all on, you know, because your kids start tuning you out after a while when you're talking a lot. They will start tuning you out. So it's like stages of conversation. You can't just, and they just sit there like,
Yeah.
okay, mm-hmm.
Well, she,
Well, it's that honestly, the conversation starts with the relationship that you have with your child. That starts early on with how you everything else.
Amen.
So your child should feel comfortable enough to come to you. You shouldn't have to come to them and so let's talk about this, blah blah blah. Because then they'll tune you out. When they're curious, they're gonna ask you if they're comfortable enough with you about, you know what I mean? And that's with anything. It's like, I know I can talk to my mom about this. I feel this. I don't understand what I'm feeling. Let me go talk to my mom about it. She'll let me know.
Girl.
But if you don't have that, then you're gonna be like, how do I talk to my kid?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to tell them too much. I don't want them to do this, because you know they're not gonna want to hear what you have to say because you've never.
I think for us, it's like it's a cycle. Even like we can't even blame our moms because their moms didn't. So they're like, okay, well, my mom didn't tell me anything, and look what happened. So I'm gonna do a little bit, just a step more than what my mom did when it comes to my daughters. When my mom talked to us, to me, it was like, Mom, you should have said this about 2 years ago. You know, and that's how I thought when she was saying certain things, not about sex, but just certain things to look out for with men in general. It's like she knew the conversation had to be had. And it's like we never know at what time. And with her, it was like, oh, she would have said this 2 years ago. You know, I remember her saying this, don't take nothing, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. But she never explained. I'm like, he just gave me his radio. You know, and I don't understand what's going on because she's triggered by whatever happened when she was growing up. So we as mothers, we try to jump in there when we think that we should have known something, and sometimes it's still too late because there's an evolution of every year that goes by. It's an evolution of every generation. So it's like we got to start earlier and earlier. So we're gonna be sitting here talking to 2-year-olds now. Don't go over there to little Timmy and don't taking baths with little Timmy now. No, you're a girl, he's a boy. You know, don't do it. You know. So it's like we may hit the mark and sometimes we may miss the mark. And you know, in disciplining, sometimes kids are not going to separate these conversations from regular discipline. So it is that your kid's probably not going to come to you if you're disciplinary. So you have to go to them at some point. You know, I set my son down.
Styles.
Yeah, I set my son down. He was looking like, what? We going to talk about the birds and bees? He said, no, what? And then we had a little talk with him. He said, oh, I'm out of here. Yeah, I'm out of here. I don't want to hear about this. I said, we'll be having this talk again soon. You know, as soon as I go and check and I see sticky socks in your room, we're going to have this conversation again.
yeah.
Red Star? Mom of two boys?
I think Asia wanted to say something though, and then I'll go.
Okay, just real quick, like it really just kind of just starts with, you know, educating people really young. Luckily, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but I was educated on like sexual stuff really, really, really young. Mainly because my mom had issues when she was really, really young, like 3 years old type shit. So I always knew about it. I knew if a guy was, you know, was being like a little, you know what I'm saying, this, that, the other. But when it came to like sex itself, I didn't really understand, because I didn't really grow up with that strong, deep religious background, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I maybe wanted to, but but when it comes to that, I'm just saying, like, they don't really tell you why sex is a bad thing, but really when it comes down to it, everybody knows that sex is one of the most powerful feelings that anybody can feel in the world. Like, you know, like as far as our emotions go, like sex, you know, is pretty up there. So the fact that it is up there, it's a lot for people that aren't educated about it to really just kind of like, oh my God, what do I do? And especially if the wrong person puts you on to the wrong information as far as sex goes, you know, because you're like, oh man, I'm feeling all these things, like my emotions are going crazy right now. And that's why you should refrain from it as much as you can. I mean, that's why, you know, I wish somebody told me, why should you stay a virgin? You know what I'm saying? For a while, because I just didn't get it. I just was like, you know, I really, really like this guy. I want to lose my virginity. It didn't really tie down to me what it would affect, how it would affect me physiologically. You know what I'm saying?
mentally,
mentally, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you first dab into that, it changes everything. It changes your mindset. You know what I'm saying? You know, your feeling, and then obviously, like later on, your body, you know, it can cause you, because your body's gonna want to do it more and more and more and more as the years go along. You know what I'm saying? So being in control of that, and also being in control of your thought while you're having sex. You don't want to have sex with somebody that you're bad vibes with, because that's gonna fuck with you up. You gotta be in a place where you know you are.
But it does start with yourself. It does start with your self love, and just like Devon was saying, like the similarities I see is, I was in the 6th grade and everybody was having sex, and I was shocked. Like, why are you guys doing this? What is wrong with you? What? And you know, they grew up in homes where they live with their grandma, or it's a broken home, or whatever. And it's like, oh, we're bored. We're having sex because we're bored. I'm like, no. And then when I came back, I was 12 years old. My first sex talk was with a 23-year-old man that I met on the phone. And every day he would call me and tell me everything that a guy would try to do. It was like schooling me on what to look out for. I mean, he talked about masturbating too, but I'm still like, oh, I'm the church girl. Then we're not doing that. I'm not touching that. But he's like, well, you know, this is better for you. But what I learned was being around different people that were sexually abused at a young age, like 6, 7, 8 years old. Your body has been open to something that was too early on for you, and their only release was to masturbate, mostly men, masturbate to get rid of the feeling, so they would not have sex or do the same thing to somebody else. So that was the whole thing about the desensitizing thing, how it's more of a man thing and a female thing, a desensitization, because like they had that feeling at 7, 8 years old, where it's probably 4 or 5 years before puberty. And they're like, well, I want that feeling again. It doesn't matter if the situation was bad. How do I get that feeling again? And had to learn how to curb that appetite with masturbation. And so it's like, that's why it's like I'm torn between the value of masturbation when it comes from men and women, and you know, and then the harm it can do as well. To a person over time, because they've become used to that feeling and they become desensitized, and then like they're going to sleep from woman to woman, person to person, trying to recreate that feeling over and over again. And that's my only struggle with it now. Like, I don't have the religious overhaul of masturbation. It's more of, I ain't really done it like that, so I don't really, it doesn't bother me to do or not to do it. I'm not hung up on the religious aspect of it. But yeah, so that's the other concern, because we do live in a society where people are hiding a lot of dark, deep things that's happened to them, and this is another way of masking it, like with masturbation and being alone by themselves with no one to talk to, and they got to beat their meat, choke their chicken,
tickle the turkey.
Red Star.
So, okay, so everybody was saying a bunch of different things. With what Asia was saying, it made me think of, you know, like the quotes, or just the saying, you know, if you don't find out who you are for yourself, then somebody will tell you, right? If you don't become a business owner, then you'll work for somebody else. So that's just the way it is with everything. And that actually correlates perfectly to sex, right? And what we're talking about. So if you don't learn your body, know yourself, then as Divine mentioned, you know, you come around, or you're in the midst of a situation and somebody's telling you what to do or how to be, and it doesn't feel good and you don't get anything from it. So I just wanted to say that in relation to what she said. I think it's important that you do know yourself in all aspects, and it has to be okay to talk about, period. Mm-hmm. But then Indian girl, you mentioned about having the talk. So because I know you, I know that you have two, or I don't even know if I can say that. I have 2 boys. Let me just say that. I have 2 boys, right? I don't have any daughters. So, and my sons are 13 years apart. So I can think about how the conversations that I had with my older son, I was younger and in a different space, differed and were later than the conversations that I had with my younger son and I'm in a different headspace, and I had the conversations with him, he had to be like 7, like 6 or 7 or something like that. I mean, we didn't go into masturbation, you know what I mean? I just didn't do that. We just had like the regular sex talk. But I wanted to ask you, how did your conversations differ with a boy and a girl? For anybody, I don't know who else.
She got boys too. But yeah, it was different.
And do you feel like too that they differed because the age, like where you were with your first one and then with the second one and stuff like that?
Yes, exactly, because they're 10 years apart, and then you have a boy, you have a girl, and we assume that boys hit that period of sexuality faster than girls, even though girls mature faster. But like we said, we kind of have more self-control. So the conversation with my son, the first conversation was 6 or 7 years old. And no, we didn't talk about, I don't think I talked about masturbation with either one of my kids, because again, I still had this religious aspect that it's something you're just not supposed to do. So that never came into the conversation. But yes, with a boy, and because I'm 10 years older and I know a little bit more, it was like, oh, it's a different conversation, period. It's a totally different conversation. And I had a male present with the conversation. I was like, oh yeah, I ain't gonna have this conversation with him by myself. So I need a backup. I need a backup to sit here with me and have this conversation, because it is a boy, and it's like, I'm not a male. I don't have male parts. I just know, from my aspect of giving you the basics, it's another man I needed to go in and fill in those blanks that I didn't have. So even then I had more resources the older I was, and more knowledge to say you probably need a backup. I mean, even with my daughter, it was always like, I don't care who you talk to, as long as you talk to somebody you trust. Like, if you can't come to me, please go to somebody. And I've always said that. And even when my friends talk to my daughter, I'm like, please talk to her. I'm not that kind of parent. It takes a village. It doesn't bother me. Oh, she talked to me about this. She didn't talk to this. No, it don't bother me. As long as she's talking to somebody. And I think that's important. We can't get hung up on being the parent and our kids don't want to talk to us. We're parents. They're not going to want to talk to us about everything. It's just, you just have to let them know, just talk to somebody, because that's where we got a lot of problems, a lot of suicides and things like that, because kids feel like they can't talk to anybody about anything. So I'm really big on taking the village, wherever you get the information from. But yeah, it was a total difference. Like, when you're young, having a kid, it's like y'all are raising each other. I know you feel that. I know both of y'all feel that.
I was just doing like, I think Santina, you mentioned it earlier. Like, you just tell them, like, don't do this, don't do that. And I was kind of actually mirroring what my mom and my grandmother and my aunties and the conversations that they had with me. Like, just don't do it. I find that with my younger son, we don't have like a male or anything like that. So I have to have the conversations with him, even if it's like uncomfortable for me. I feel like it's more uncomfortable for him than it is for me. But, but I do feel like I explain way more because I want him to know how to think when he's in a situation, giving him examples and different things like that. Santina, was it different for you?
I have 3 boys, and I've had conversations with my boys since they were like 3 years old. Being that I've been around a lot of gay males, I also wanted to have that conversation with them as well. Because there's a lot of males that get molested by males, and they're ashamed to talk about it because they're uncomfortable with it. So starting young, those are conversations that I had with my boys. With sex, with good touch, bad touch, male, female. It didn't matter. Like, I had those hard conversations with them early, because for me, I was touched as a child, so I wanted to start out early with my boys. Like, that's something that I didn't want to slip to the side. So starting 3-4 years old, like those conversations were had. Like,
yeah, I
sex.
started at 2 years old, but I didn't consider that a sex conversation. It's like, you know, don't sit on a man's lap, don't do this, don't do that. You know, and she might not have understood it.
That's a different
why.
conversation.
But those are conversations that you have to have with your children.
She might not have understood why, but it was like a protection. And, and the men tried not to. I said, I don't care who you are. Can my daughter tell me what a rapist look like? Then guess what? You in that pot too. Don't let my daughter sit on your lap. Don't do this. Don't be in a room with her by yourself. Blah blah. Get over it. And like it's not about you. It's about protecting my child. You know.
And I just feel like a lot more parents should be that way with their girls, with their boys,
with their significant other.
Yeah. And conversations about this, conversations about that, so their children feel comfortable coming to them about situations if those situations happen. Hopefully those situations never happen, but you want your child to feel comfortable if something happens, to know that they're protected and they're okay and they can come to you about whatever, and mom's gonna take care of the situation. You don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm gonna come to her and she's gonna be mad at me because of this situation happened with this person that she's with. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like having these conversations, even us having them now, and with the difference in ages in that we all are, it's just a teaching tool, right? Being able to, because if you, like, again, if you don't know who you are, somebody will always tell you. It'll be somebody there waiting to tell you who to be, how to be, what to wear, how to dress,
what you like, what you don't.
Oh, I was about to say a cuss word.
We curse on this show. What you talking about?
Oh yeah,
we curse on this show. What you talking about?
A couple times, my bad.
I just want to say,
You done cursed like a sailor several times. What are you talking about?
I just want to say really quickly, before we have to wrap up. Just doubling back to, I think what you said about people think girls or boys think about sex either faster or later on. Personally, I can give 2 examples at least. One, for me, when I was 8 or 9, I was introduced to sex. I was not molested or anything like that, but someone showed me like porn. I was like, it was another female, so I don't know when she found this out.
Wait,
but
I was like, it wasn't my son, was it?
No. That's funny.
That was funny.
No, but yeah. So
funny,
it was around that time.
Funny.
I was introduced to porn by another girl my age, and you know, so early on I was already looking at that or whatever. And then I know an old friend of mine has a child. When they were about 6. Started talking about feelings that they couldn't explain, you know, and obviously as their parent, you know what those are, but their child would just get squeamish anytime they saw somebody kissing on TV, anything like that. Like, I don't like that. It makes me feel tingly, because they don't understand what's going on, but they're having those feelings, you know, even that young. So I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, so I like to research. And I pulled up a couple of different articles, which Indian Girl will put
links to
in the podcast for your reference. So I just wanted to highlight some of the information from the articles that I pulled, just to summarize. Okay. So I looked up some different things, and it talked about why people masturbate, which we've already talked about, but just to put it in like bullet points. People do it to feel good, discover what gets you hot, and actually release built up tension, right? You don't really probably think about that. That's why you're doing it, but it is definitely a release. Actually, when you orgasm, it releases
oxytocin
or hormone, Oxytocin, yes. And that's what connects you to other people. But then it also lubricates your joints as well. Yeah, so it's like extremely, right? So then that segues into health benefits, reduces stress, it helps you sleep better. It actually relieves menstrual cramps.
And headaches.
Which I thought was really interesting, because I know a lot of women that I know talk about that they become
Extremely.
more horny or aroused when they're on their cycle,
Yes,
right?
extremely.
Or like right before. And then, dang it, one second. And it also can strengthen the muscle tone in your pelvic and anal areas. Did you know that?
What? Do you have to
like,
masturbate your
Kegel? Huh?
Kegel
No, we ain't
exercise.
masturbating our booty hole.
Oh, it's
all one.
She was asking.
It does everything. Hold on.
I was just playing.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, it's all in one, yeah.
Yeah, but
Kegel,
you know.
all the same.
Because when you do Kegels, right?
Yeah.
And you tighten, it's doing your butt too. Do it.
I'm doing it right now.
It's all in one.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
I learned that some years ago.
I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it.
I made sure to search
And I'm
for any
still
type
doing
of
it.
harmful side effects. And there are no harmful side effects related to masturbation.
Except for falling asleep.
Whatever.
Right after.
They might, men will rub
I be
themselves
falling
raw.
asleep right after.
Wait, but that's addiction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you smoke a joint, that's not a problem. But if you're doing it all day and it's taken away from your everyday life, that's addiction. That's a problem. That's something else. But just overall, there are no harmful effects to masturbating.
Now, if you do it in public,
Sometimes during.
if you do it in public, it might be some harmful effects. You might go to jail. But I'm sorry.
Oh God, yeah, okay. We talk about just normal, right? The one side effect that they did list, which I thought was extremely interesting, was guilt.
Yes. Yeah. I know a particular man who gets guilty and cries every time after he masturbates.
She be thinking
Like,
people just.
okay, let me finish. Okay, sorry. So guilt, and I'm gonna circle back to that. But then the types of masturbation listed for women was clitoral, vaginal, anal, combo. And
Well, you know the toy.
Double P.
Clitorius.
You got the toy.
The toy, it
It's
does
the toy
both.
that
It
does
has
both at the same time.
It looks like this.
Yeah.
They're
No, it's not that close together. but
Yeah.
we love
No,
you.
It's like
It's
this.
fine.
It's like curved.
It's like this, like more like this. It's more like this, I think. Look.
Wait.
To
Two
the
in the
top.
pink, one in the stink.
Was that
I think-
was that
I think it's more like this, y'all. I think it's like one here and one there.
Hey guys, we'll have a diagram below.
But yes, it's like this. Okay, so and then
gang signs?
I also found another article, so I'll go back to where it was talking about the guilt because that intrigued me a little bit. And it says a lot of women struggle with the guilt, and is it a sin, and knowing how to. And then I think for me, I related that to like the sexual suppression of women. And I noticed it when we were talking earlier, and you know, it's like, oh, you don't want to sleep with all your partners or do this or do that. There's just a whole faux pas with women relating to our sexuality. That is it. Red Star out.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this wonderful conversation up. I think this is the most interactive conversation we've had so far. So I'm just gonna go around the room, everybody get their final thoughts on self-pleasure, masturbation, or anything we discussed. We're gonna start with Asia over here.
Oh goodness, they started with me. Okay, so self-pleasure. Don't make fun of me. Like I said, it's just one of those things that is a necessary thing with any human, and you just have to understand that it's a normal thing. And the more that you can understand and know yourself, the better it will be in the long run, you know. And you'll be able to, you know, handle these things, you know, these feelings on your own. And the more that you learn yourself, the better it will become. The stronger your orgasm, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, me personally, like, you know, after knowing myself for all of these years, nobody can do it better than me.
Amen.
Asia out.
And I'm out.
I'm Santina.
I will say, I copy Asia. No one can do it better than me. I would like someone to, though.
Exactly. But that's very, very difficult after you know
I'll
yourself.
say self-pleasure is great, It is a great coping tool when you're single, when you're dating. It does not take the place of the physical attention that a woman needs from a man. I don't want it to take the attention that I need from a man.
Or a woman.
Or a woman.
Okay.
I feel it's a good substitute. It gets you by. It gets me more in tune with myself, and I like it for that. But I would prefer someone else to please me in that manner. But if there's no one out there to do it, I can do it myself.
Hey.
All right, Divine.
So, just like this lady said, know yourself, know your worth. Know what you will accept and what you will not. And that only comes with knowing what you like from yourself first. So, it is what it is.
Red Star.
I mean, I agree with all of you guys. Of course, it comes with knowing yourself. I just want to, and not so much you guys, but implore the viewers to just to have the conversations amongst yourselves, your girlfriends, whoever, with your children, because sex has to be normalized. It's one of the most normal functions that our body does, just like going to the bathroom. So, we have to normalize it. And that, I believe, would take away from a lot of the sexual issues that we have as a nation. So, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Well, my final thoughts on it is to each his own. From a religious standpoint, I always say this: your relationship with God is your relationship with God. I'm not one to judge how you navigate the Bible and your relationship with God. So if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, it's not for you. And I will continue to say is I'm selfish. So I will self-pleasure with an audience. So he's going to watch me self-pleasure, and he's going to learn, and we're going to make this a joint venture, because I always believe that sex is something that's created with two bodies, two people, and I don't consider it sex without that aspect of it. So masturbating is something on its own, and then the act of sex is a totally different thing. Whether you're masturbating with a partner or not, it just creates a better atmosphere for me. So thank you, ladies, our guest co-host for stepping in, giving us another perspective on it, and thank you, ladies, as always, chiming in on the conversation. Now we're going to go to Red Star for politics.
I got it ready. Okay. We had our presidential inauguration yesterday. I want to give a big shout out to Kamala Harris, previous senator for the state of California, for becoming the first Black woman, Southeast Asian vice president. So that's wonderful. We have to make sure we, big up on that.
Pearls and chucks.
I personally didn't vote for neither one of them, but that's just something else. Secondly, I wanted to revisit what Trump did in his last days, because I don't think anybody knows. So, he did 143 pardons through the last days, up until his very last day. And so I just wanted to let you guys, some of the people that he pardoned: Lil Wayne, Steve Bannon, and Kodak Black.
What did he pardon Lil Wayne for? What did he pardon Lil Wayne for?
Just let that sink in. It's ridiculous. There are people who are sitting, anyway, I'm not even going to get to that. It's other people who deserved or should have had a pardon besides those people. Of course. So in addition to that, he executed 13 people starting from July of 2020 up until January 16th. Was the last person. So he did it 4 days before Biden came into office. 2019, he executed 22 people. Okay? Now, and then, does anybody know about the 1619 Project? Okay, I've sent that too. That'll be a link. It's a full PDF that you can look at. It's a document, really quickly, that the New York Times put out as a way to incorporate a more factual incorporation of the African American contribution to the start of the United States. So what Trump did, I think it came out maybe 2 days ago, he created a rebuttal for that, the 1776 report. Yes.
What an ass.
I'm going to include all of this so y'all can look at it.
Thank you.
And then, do you know that the day that the Capitol was attacked, January 6th, there was also an Alaska oil leasing sale that was going on. So they were selling or leasing plots of land in Alaska on a protected refuge so that they could drill oil. Do you know why they were doing that? So that they were doing that to offset the tax cuts that they gave to corporations. So everybody else's taxes, our taxes, were raised because they gave the tax breaks to the corporations. And they were thinking of selling this land, this oil in Alaska in order to offset that, what they didn't get from us. So it was a fucking joke. It was absolutely awful. His whole 4 years was fucking shit. And I don't know how much better these other two will do. Hopefully they'll do better. But I, again, implore you all and the viewers to become more active in your communities, to educate yourselves about politics and what's going on around us.
All right.
I know that.
All
I have
right.
to add something. Did you see? I don't know. I'm on Instagram. So did you see the video of someone made like a compilation of all the things that Biden has done just his first day in office? Did you see that?
I have not.
So it's like this video where he signed like. See, she's
All
always,
those
she's always
bills.
right there. Yeah, he signed. He did a bunch of stuff. Like we're back in the Paris.
Oh, the
something.
Paris Agreement.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah, a lot of stuff that Trump
I've been
signed
trying-
into agreement, he reversed it. A lot
lots
of
of good
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
Lots
a
of
lot of
good
good
stuff.
stuff.
And he should have. He should have. I've actually been trying to not be on social media, so I do read a lot of stuff from like NPR and the Washington Post. So I did read about that. But if you can send me that, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I
we
know,
have that
because-
too.
It's just a TikTok.
So that's it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. All right, Santino, what is our restaurant or entertainment news of the week?
Our restaurant entertainment of the week is going to be Juicy Crab. Juicy Crab.
She will get out of these restaurants. We can't get no other- we can't get no other
4349
entertainment.
Lawrenceville Highway. Suite 19 in Tucker, Georgia, 30084. I went to Juicy Crab today and I had a blast with Mr. Austin, our bartender. Yes, Mr. Austin, our bartender. We went in today and we had some boiled eggs. We had a seafood combo with shrimp, lobster tail, sausage, and crab legs. We had a great special. The food was excellent. The atmosphere was okay. I'm not gonna say it's back up to par with the COVID pandemic going on. We sat at the bar, so we did enjoy the bar ambiance. But I'll say the restaurant is probably up to about 75% occupation there. The food was great. We had a good time. So if you guys are in the Tucker Stone Mountain area, you should go to Juicy Crab. Again, the address is 4349 Lawrenceville Highway, Suite 19 in Tucker, Georgia, 30084. If you go to the bar, see Mr. Austin, tell them Santina would play when it sent you, and you should get a special.
All right, so since we don't have Raquel here for the business of the week, I'm gonna shout out my business. For all your event staffing needs, make sure you go to Indian Girl Entertainment. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on the internet, and make sure you spell Indian Girl right. That is INDNGRL Entertainment. We do have bartenders, wait staff, event planners, DJs. What else we got? Event decorating, photo booth, photography, videography, whatever you need to get your event put on together, you just contact us.
She's got it.
Yeah, so we've been in business for over 20 years. So that's our Black business of the week. I know it says Indian Girl, but you know what it is. So our song of the week, look at me over here, not prepared. So this song I picked.
I thought you said you had it.
Huh?
I thought you said you had it. What happened to
I
Unlimited?
have it. I just didn't have it up, ready to go. So the song of the week this week is from Cartier Martinez, Trap Man. I thought, even though the song is not about this, but I thought it was so imperative to what we talked about today. The song is called Social Distance. So while you're distancing, make sure you masturbate. Anyway, so the song of the week is again by Cartier Martinez. He's an artist hailing from Chicago, here locally in Atlanta. He has a great sound, great music, because I listen to it all the time. So this is Social Distance by Cartier Martinez.
Are you gonna play it?
Yeah, of course, you gotta play it. Don't be a hater all your life.
I actually like his music. So.
Yeah, in parts.
So I know the song.
We see.
Hey, let me tell you what I'm going through. I bleed purple, but my soul blue. Ain't seen my son in like the whole two. And I be crying, I ain't gon' hold you. Don't pity me, I'm on my own too. Hey, them niggas sliding, what you gon' do? Your partner's
So we'll have a link to this song. I don't think there's a video out for this yet, but we'll have a link to this song and his information as well. We're gonna wrap it up for another wonderful episode of Linguistic Lips. Make sure y'all check out, we will be releasing part 2, 3, and 4 of the cabin trip that we had. We already released part 1. Episode 1 and 2 is already out, and 3. I'm sorry, episode 1, part 1 and 2, and episode 2 is already out. So guys, check us out on YouTube at Your Dream Studios, also on Instagram, Your Dream Studios. Check us out, and we will see you next time. Y'all have a great night.
House came through, I sprayed that shit up. Did that time, ate that shit up. Trap house dead, woke that bitch up. Background flow, you made that shit up. Let me talk to you one time. Let me talk with you one time. Let me talk with you one time. Ay, politic with you one time. Ay, Lord protect me from my niggas, Lord. My niggas, Lord protect me from the system, Lord. The system, Lord, help me strategize my vision, Lord. My vision, Lord, help me father all my children, Lord. My children, Lord. Let me tell you what I'm going through. I bleed purple, but my soul blue. Ain't seen my son in like the whole two. And I be crying, I ain't gon' hold you. Don't pity me, I'm on my own too. Hey, them niggas sliding, what you gon' do? Your partner's dying, what you gon' do? Don't pity me, it's what I'm gon' do.